Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cuts Academy, JC, Crown Cuts Academy, Bristol, and Craig's Crown Cuts downtown Johnson City. Today, we're going to talk about a special topic. We're going to keep you guys guessing, and we're going to keep you guys coming. This is real big. We got a special guest, and back in the studio, my co-host. A warm welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
What's your name? I know you're back. What's your name, man?
Am I Fields? Am I your barber? Blessed to be here again. Make the drive to Tennessee.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you coming through. Drop these jewels. Drop these. Earn the crown. # earn the crown. And my guest, introduce yourself.
Well, guys, my name is Donald Soto. Bartender at Watauga Brewery, also a brewmaster assistant. Also worked with Craig for a very long time. Was in the Barber college industry as well, helping him out. And
Yes.
just wanted to say, also, I'm very, very proud of all your accomplishments and stuff. And look up to you, man. Appreciate everything you've done for us in the community.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, it is extra special because Donald is the person who helped me start Crown Cuts Academy. It was just him and I. I was a teacher. He was in the front, answering the phones, enrolling students, making it happen. And that was special. Appreciate you, D. I mean, much love. 1,000 miles away and close by every day. Shout out to Market Street Media and Lathan, my guy, for having us in the studio again. Big shout out to my sponsors, Colossal Brand. I'm going to have to bring Colossal Brand on the show probably next week.
I've only heard of this Colossal Brand. Oh, I met the guy.
Yeah, you met him. You met him.
Cool.
He's going to come on and do his thing. Major sponsor. Check him out. Go cmcolossal.org. He got some really good stuff. I'll bring him on and let him talk about his journey and how he's getting where he's going. And again, thank you for Feed Spot for the top 25 podcast in the world, top 25 in the country of Barber College content. We're going to keep earning the crown, keep dropping jewels. Today, we're going to talk about tips and tipping. What are our views on tips? Why is it important? And should you look for tips? Because some barbers get offended when they don't get a tip. And we'll elaborate and talk about these things. So when you hear about tipping, my guy, what comes to your mind?
I have a lot of emotions and thoughts when it comes to tipping. I think that the misconception is that I think tips are expected. I think especially the reason tips are expected is because a lot of people come from who are in the server industry. That's how they make their money. They don't get paid.
Right.
You get $2.15 an hour. So they need tips to make their money. You should tip servers and bartenders of everybody, of course. You should really tip anybody that requires a tip. But I believe my belief with barbering is you shouldn't expect a tip. I think that you set your price for your services for what you think your services are worth, and then anything after that is a tip.
It's a bonus. It's a plus.
Exactly. If you're a barber and you feel like that you should get tipped on every single haircut, you should get $5+ or more on a tip. That means your prices for your haircut should be $5 more, and then you can get a tip after that.
Right. That's true. What do you think, D?
So tipping, me right now, just in the service industry, it's based off our hard work. And the barber, when you're doing barbering, I don't think you should not expect a tip. And like Emma said, it's all about the base pay. Sure, it does feel great, but also in the process, it's all about what you're charging and what you're doing. And maybe, your regulars, just steady clientele that comes, maybe they will throw you a cool little, tip and stuff like that. But no, I don't really think in the barber industry you should expect a tip.
I see both sides. I see both sides where you shouldn't. You shouldn't go into nothing expecting something.
Exactly.
Especially in the industry like that. But I understand why some barbers expect it, because a tip makes you feel good. It almost kind of solidifies your work. And someone saying, I'm going to give you a little bit of extra to show that, hey, man, you're doing real good. But on the other hand, you can't get upset. You shouldn't get upset if someone don't give you a tip. And most people are going to show gratitude and give you, I think 85% of people will show some gratitude and give you something.
And I think the clientele that I marketed to, like people that I want, the people that I want me to cut their hair
Mhm.
want to tip me, and I don't ever expect it, but I know that I feel like they want to. Now there's a lot of times where I don't get tipped, which is fine because I set my prices to where I set them, and they understand that's the price and that's what they pay, and I shouldn't expect anything else. But I'm still not going to lower my services for anybody that doesn't
Right.
tip me.
Oh,
And that's key.
and that's very, very key, and for example, when you have your barbers and they're all every seat's full, you have people in the waiting, people do see people working very hard. You're trying to flip the chair and keep it rolling, keep slicing and dicing, and sure, people will definitely tip. They'll appreciate that. They're saying like, hey, he's hungry, he wants that hard work, and he's going to get rewarded, in pay and in tips.
Um, Coming from where we're coming from in this industry, we're in the you in the shop, I'm in the school, and I'm in the school mainly. Um, I've seen students come into the process, come into schools, and their thought process, man, that person didn't tip me. You should not have that on your mind when you're in school.
No.
You should not have that on your mind thinking this person didn't tip me, and the next time I'm gonna give them a below average cut, because that's what's going through your mind.
But it's hard when you're a student and you see successful barbers making money, even though that's definitely possible for them to do that, to accomplish that by working hard. It's still hard, like, because I notice a lot of students can only work part time or work night shift jobs, so that kind of supplement a lot of times help those students, even though they shouldn't lean on that. It's just the reality of the whole student situation.
You're in training. Just build that passion. If you're looking for tips, you're not building that passion. You're not creating that barber he wants to be, who's going to have longevity in the game.
Sure.
Build that passion up first, and your gratitude, people will see it and offer you gratitude through your passion and your joy for your work.
Of course.
I definitely believe that too. Even though, I mean, I was just speaking on the reality
Yeah,
of being a student and how I'd see the perspective of somebody that would want tips as a student. I believe that if you work on, you know, building yourself up and finding a love for the art of it, that you will actually get those tips. It's just something that's just going to happen. And I believe that anybody that does well at their job has some kind of tipping system thoroughly believes that. You're a bartender. I know that you out there, you start spinning bottles around, somebody gonna throw a couple dollar bills in a
Yeah,
jar.
of course. Yeah, they a lot of people and a lot of of the regular customers that I have,
Mhm.
they come in, they sit down, I know what they like. I'll bring it to them, offer them any other services that I could, from getting extra food, or hey, let me top you off your water, or let me top off your beer. And then yeah, like if you're expecting tips, first off, come work in the restaurant industry for sure.
I did that for 4 years. So
Yeah, so you understand.
yeah.
But no, in the barbering side of things, though, the tip is the passion. You're also doing a lot. You're mentally thinking about a lot of things, and like you said, and if you are on that mentality of, oh, he didn't tip, I'm not going to give him that quality service. How does that represent you?
right.
So it shouldn't be for like a tip that you're going to, ruin your day or give somebody not your best haircut,
Yeah,
which you should do every time.
exactly.
Because just the gratitude of them letting you practice on them, that's almost a tip.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, for sure, and it's, especially if you got somebody with great hair, and you're like, man, because anybody that that cuts hair, if you get somebody with good hair, that's a blessing. Like sometimes, because you get to actually try new styles and
Right.
things like that. So I feel like in that regard, they definitely help you out, and of course, they help pay your bills. I mean, that's the sad reality. Like, we're entrepreneurs and we're our own people, but at the same time, everybody's our boss. So you know what I'm saying? Like, we kind of work for the public in that
Show
way.
the industry some gratitude
Exactly.
and not look for that tip first,
For sure. Yeah,
because people can see your work ethic, they can see your drive, and that's when they go above and beyond for you.
of course. Of course. And that is 100% true. As when we started working together at first, you started seeing the passion that I was growing, and times were tough and all of that, but we still, we kept pushing.
Right.
And you were just so very proud of me. And every time we'd work together, every week we'd come together, you'd be like, hey, you're doing great.
Right.
Take a step back, take a breath, and then just come back and start grinding.
Right.
But then, that's when you show your passion, your hungerness for the success.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that Barber College will actually teach you is just being your own boss, having great people surrounding you at all times, and just climbing your way up to success.
And being a bartender, just I was thinking about how much like being like a bartender is so much like being a barber.
Similar.
Exactly. You're bringing clientele in. They enjoy your company. You speak to them. A lot of times you're giving mental health services. A lot of times, probably more times than you want to.
Yeah.
But
Advice.
I
exactly.
think it'd
And
be
then
advice,
the
yes.
consultation part too, like finding out somebody comes in like I don't know what I want to drink. What do I want to drink? So
Yeah.
so like the bartending industry is a lot similar, I would say, to the barbering industry.
Shut up.
It's funny that you say consultation, and I'm gonna piggyback off of that. I think most people tips come within their consultation.
If you can fix a problem for somebody, that it alone will give you a lifelong client and make people want to give you their money more than anything.
Because customer service is dead across the country in all industries.
For sure.
That's right.
So
It's
you can-
hurting.
It is.
It's hurting.
So if you can set yourself apart in the consultation and in the customer service for your client when you're cutting someone's hair, explain to them about their haircut, explain to them about the products that you're using, be real tentative to their needs and be able to give them answers for their questions,
Mhm.
you almost guaranteed to get some type of gratitude.
For sure. Whether it's the person talking about you on another topic on a basis saying like, hey, I went to Craig's barber college
Right.
and I got to, get really good advice, get really good help in paving my way into becoming a barber. That right there just shows like, okay, so that's also word of mouth and that's just marketing,
Yeah.
communicating and stuff that which builds your clientele even better. People start seeing that, people start hearing like, oh wow, the barber college is booming
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And then just coming in and then you build your clientele off of that.
And sometimes the people that are perceived to be cheap or to be frugal,
Or not a
those
great tipper.
well, yeah, or not a great tipper. But honestly, those people's opinions on things are valued a little more because people know that they're going to go somewhere for the best value. They're going to go somewhere where they can get the most for their dollar. And if they recommend you, and then they bring in other people that are more more giving than the person that suggested you, that just helps your value even
and
more.
it just wagers out.
Exactly.
So it goes to ask this question. Would you rather get a referral or a tip?
I guess a referral because a tip is right there is money in your pocket. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. But a referral allows you to continue to grow because if everybody's referring you and then you're making this much for hair, but if your books are pouring, out your pocket and you can just keep raising your haircut prices, then you're making yourself more valuable at that point.
So it's better. So the best thing to work on is your customer service and
Exactly.
your consultation. Because if your customer service is great and your consultation is overboard doing great things, because the most important part of a haircut is the consultation. If your consultation is great, you almost you're gonna get referred.
And I cut a lot of college students. Shout out Emory Henry campus, but college. But they are kind of on a budget. They got ramen noodle and beer to pay for. They got to come see my man right here at the, what I'm saying, the rooftop.
Very-
But it's like I'm saying. So I always tell them that the best thing they can do besides a tip, shout me on Instagram.
Mhm.
Hit me with the on the Instagram story. That to me, that means way more than a tip. And it also it saves me some trouble of trying to continually keeping content on my social media, and it makes it effortless for me so I can take a break.
You're not the only one marketing for yourself. Then.
Exactly. I make it help everybody mark for me, and it saves me some time, so I don't have to do it myself.
And not only that, and people also got to realize, when you get the referral, and it's just going to keep going.
Oh yeah,
Keep going with that.
oh, for sure.
Right.
Of course.
You're going to get a couple hair people that's going to be like, wow, I like the haircut. I love what he did. He did exactly what I wanted. And, yeah, I'm going to reward you if you can.
And it just makes you more valuable. Like
Exactly.
your time and your service becomes way more valuable with that.
Not only that, and it's more appreciative. You're proud of the craft,
Yeah.
for example. And that's one thing that is really, really I'm big on, is just perfecting the craft. And that's one thing I learned from Craig. Perfecting the craft, whether it's just your first haircut,
Earn the crown.
you gotta earn the crown. So whether it's like the first haircut or like the first recipe that I'm gonna, make on a drink, stuff like that, you keep grinding on it, you keep perfecting, you keep doing it on a repetitive.
Yeah.
What's the quote?
treat your first like your last, and your last like your first, and make that your everything.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what it is.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, yeah, better said than done. But no, for sure, definitely would love a referral. I personally, even in my industry right now,
Yeah.
I would kill for a referral. I always tell people, hey, come see me at Watauga. I was working a festival a couple of days ago, and I was marketing myself, marketing the company Watauga, which, by the way, y'all gotta come see me here soon. Just letting y'all know, just gotta come
Awesome.
see me here soon.
Yeah.
But just being able to just market, give my name, give the address of where I work, people are gonna come.
Yeah.
Right.
People are gonna start stacking. And the greatest thing, also, when you're in the barbering industry, is when you get that group of people, that team that you form,
Yeah.
everybody's just going to market each other.
Oh yeah,
Right.
you're gonna shout everybody out.
Exactly. Whether it's just a post on the Instagram, or tagging them, or
Or-
just saying like, hey, come see my
And,
barber.
and all those things come from just being real tentative, being real aware of your craft, honing your craft really, really well, giving your all, and being tentative to your client.
Respect the game.
Bottom line.
Just respect the game.
I love it.
Bottom
Yeah.
line, because things that people do not respect the game, like you're saying, is you
Get
have a
mad
client,
somebody don't tip you or anything
you
like
get
that.
mad somebody don't tip you. You have a client in your chair. You have no dialogue with them.
And it's bad for the game too, because if you're rude, if you're like, man, I don't want to cut your hair no more because you're not tipping me, blah blah blah. You're making it harder on the next barber, because they build that stereotype. You're building stereotypes of the industry when you do stuff like that.
Right.
And we don't want that.
No.
At least in this part of the world, we're supporting everybody.
The barbering industry is so loved, and there are some barbers who out there who just kind of want to be divas with it. But I think everybody needs to check themselves and understand, hey, this fraternity, once you're in this industry, there shouldn't be no one that you shouldn't be able to bump fists with or be like, yo, you're in the industry, you're a barber, let's chop it up, let's talk, let's have a conversation,
Yeah.
and just go with a conversation forever.
All about the networking.
But I hate when barbers don't see that love and want to connect.
I think that's it, after being in this long, if you're not openly speaking to other people in your industry, or barbers at least, like I think that you're missing out yourself. You're just hurting yourself. You're not building relationships with people. You're just going to be your one little corner shop. I've referred other barbershops, and I think that any barber that is good or is busy or staying
Right.
busy will do that. Hey, I can't get you, but so and so can.
And that's important. And that's where the referrals come in, and that's where your tips come in as well. I think referrals, if you go about just trying to do your job to your best and rather just go after referrals, the tips will come.
Yeah.
The tips will just overflow.
Yeah, of course. And that's what's going to get rewarding, and that's when you still keep that same mentality that when you first started.
Because how you treat people, every barber I've ever heard who have gotten a really large tip, $50, $100, $200, $250, whatever it may be, even more than that, $500,000.
Somebody's doing it.
Yeah. Every barber who I've heard of who've gotten a large tip, it's because of their customer service.
Of course.
It's about their approach to the client.
Because eventually a haircut is just a haircut.
Everybody's fade is gonna be the same.
Yeah. It might be a little different intricately, but at the end of the day, a fade, and especially if you're just a client, you're like, it looks good.
It's gonna be 15 minutes here, or 10 minutes there, or 25 minutes. That's the difference.
Yeah.
The time.
Mhm.
But everyone fade is gonna be pretty much the same if you're in this industry long enough and you love what you do.
And I think also another thing that comes tips better is one thing that I've noticed, that people respect you taking your time. So I think some barbers also get caught up in a grind. Like, I got bust out a haircut every 15 minutes. And doing that, sometimes you're getting the money right there in your pocket, but where are you building for your long-term success?
I think you should give everybody minimum at least some haircuts you can knock out.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to buzz one all over
Yeah.
and just edge it up, like, that's going to be
some barbers you can get some fades. Really, if you have some good fine hair and you want to get a good fade, you can knock it out about 15, 20 minutes. But I think you should give your clients at least 25 to 35 minutes in the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that fine line right there where they feel appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Because
and you're listening to them. You're not just like,
right.
Uh-huh.
And at the same time, there are some people who just don't want to be in the chair that long. They rather just be in there, in and out. because they know the quality is going to be good.
Yeah.
But you still want to give your clients and tend to their needs and understand them and make them feel like they spend that money, because most barbers now are charging upwards of $25, $30, $40 for a haircut.
$50,
Yeah.
$100.
It's almost this. I think the standard right now is probably like them. If you're across the country, I think the average haircut across the country might be like $30.
Maybe that's a lot.
I mean, it depends where you are. You know what I mean? At $30.
What was that one shop we went to in Boston? They were charging $70-some for a haircut.
Right.
And right on that street we went to. And
Yeah, that's down in Back Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, but the shop was nice.
It was. I mean, it was
Well
thought out.
Tom Brady lived on that street.
Right.
When he was up there, he lived on that street. So
I'm sure his rent is high.
oh yeah. His rent. He got charged for that haircut.
You're right.
But also, we all think about it too. Like at one point, he worked his way up. That barber definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, working with Craig in the back to the barber college, and I've seen a bunch of the students just grow up, charge and all of that, like charge a more increased price. And it's well respected because at one point they started doing the $5, $10 haircuts.
Yes.
And then you start figuring out, okay, well, I got my diploma. I'm ready to, go out into this industry.
And grow and grind.
Next level. Earn the crown.
Exactly.
I mean, it's important though, and knowing where you come from. But that quote right there is so important. Make your first like your last, and make your last like your first, and make that everything. If you make your haircut like that, the first time you jump in the shop, the first time you jump into school, and you got that, when you finally found it, when it just clicked to you in school and it says, I can do this. You feel confident. You don't need no instructions. You just feel totally I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
You have to carry that on with you.
Until the end.
Until the end.
Yeah. Until you ain't even breathing. You're taking your last breath.
You have to carry. You do. I mean, if you're in this industry, you have to. You have to carry that hunger. You have to carry that hunger for consultation. You have to carry that hunger for customer service. You have to carry that hunger for sanitation. You have to carry that hunger for continuing education, because all those things adds up to your price. All those things adds up how much you invested in this industry. That's what you're gonna get out.
Intellectual wealth.
Yeah. Because some people just want to come in and think the industry is just gonna be good to them automatically.
No. What? And if you're doing anything and then just expecting results, great results,
yeah,
and you're doing nothing, then you're just setting yourself up for just a disaster, a failure.
For sure.
And it happens in life. It happens, at work. There's days where, you're just not feeling that flame.
Yeah.
Because what I don't want people to do, or students or barbers, what I don't want them to do is finish a haircut. Someone say, "Oh man, thank you. This looks great. I'm appreciative of this." You don't get a tip, and as soon as they walk away, you start bashing them or you get mad. Don't do that.
I haven't had that happen yet so far.
Don't do that.
It looks bad. It looks bad on you, the company, the instructors, and just anywhere.
And the worst thing is, like, if other clients in the shop hear you saying something like that, because that makes them question whether their tips are good enough, whether or not they might be great tippers, but it still might make them feel like, okay, maybe I'm not doing enough, and they feel uncomfortable to even go to the shop.
And you don't want that, because most people, from my experience, even people who don't tip, they want to tip.
Yeah.
And they probably can't.
And they probably can't. Mm-hmm. Most people want to tip. The ones that don't tip, they want to. Because if you go into a mark of prestige, if you tip some people sometimes.
Yeah. You look like you feel like those people right then and there that value their time.
Right.
You wanted them to know that you really enjoyed what they did. So.
And you appreciate it. But some people, they can't, because you have a lot of maybe some single mothers, some people who are going through some issues.
Some people in school.
Some people who don't have a job, and some people who are transitioning to get a job, who might just have just enough money to get that haircut.
It's like on the movie Barbershop where he tried to get the job and he needed a haircut to get the interview.
Right.
And he got the haircut and he left. He ran away. He stole the haircut pretty much. But then he came back and paid him and told him he appreciated he got the job, that he just wasn't able to pay for the haircut at the time.
Right.
So,
and that happens. I mean, we do a community service at the school where we have free haircuts on the first Thursday and the third Thursday of the month. I can't tell you how many people who came back from getting a free haircut and said, "Hey, man, I really appreciate that. Thank you." We get messages all the time. People say, "Man, I needed that cut. I needed just that conversation with the student.
yeah.
I know I didn't pay for the haircut, but it propelled me and helped me in so many ways than you ever thought."
And then they want to reciprocate that.
Yeah.
In the long term.
And it looks so good on you as well. And it just makes you look more professional, makes you showcase your passion
Right.
for success in the barbering industry. And that's how you build clientele.
How often do you have to like decide what the person wants? Is that like an every night thing where somebody's like, I don't really know, or this and that, or is that something that like?
Yeah, and believe it or not, a lot of people, go into the brewery and they ask questions like, okay, this is my first time trying to craft beer.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm a brewmaster assistant, and I know a lot more. I've been, getting much experience. Shout out to Ted, and just showcasing that, and then showing them, what I've learned. Teach you the difference between, a dark stout or a New England or a sour saison, etc.
And I think educating your clientele also goes a long way.
That's
as far as
that's consultation.
Yeah, just being able to teach them one thing, like for you, the difference in the IPA and the regular IPA, I think it's just disgusting. No offense. Anyway,
Don't try it.
anyways, or like if a person is not using the proper shampoo or washing their hair too much.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like you said, it really applies to the same thing because people come in to the shop at times or to the school and they don't know what they want. They sit in your chair, they don't know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to break it down to them and show them what's a wavelength cut, a flat top, what's a blowout. And some people head shapes are different. So you want to give them the proper haircut for the head shape.
For sure.
And for the occasion. Because there's some different things that you might be doing on a weekly basis. You want something to fit you. And that's the barber responsibility to help figure that out. Just like the bartender.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a couple cuts too when you're cutting somebody and their hair's not laying the way you wanted to lay,
right,
or whatever, and you just got to play with it to get to where you want it.
Exactly. And like Craig said, when you give that consultation, it's in point and they're very satisfied, they're going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that second time you're just going to do better.
And that's where the referral comes in.
Exactly.
So that's why the question is, what would you rather, a referral or a tip? And I think every new student, not just new student, but every barber out there should start thinking about that. What would you rather have, a referral or a tip?
Or do something like, your haircut's free today if you shout me on Instagram. I'm about to start doing it all the time with the students. Be like, yo, if you just, I actually did. I've been doing it. Like, hey, don't worry about your cut today. If you put this on so, then that promotes.
And that's marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And just say, hey, man, my guy right here gave me a nut, and I really appreciate it.
I just paid $20 for a 24-hour advertising spot, and this person's got 8,000 followers. You look at all the people that you get impact and get to view yours for just a price of a haircut.
I think this year, you talking 25, what came to my mind, I think we're going to do something for breast cancer month where we'll probably try and cut in the school for 24 hours.
That's cool.
I don't know how we're going to, but see.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Or like
coffee.
Free beer lineups through the month of No Shave November.
Yeah, but I want to do something like do a 24-hour thing.
Yeah.
Continuous haircuts for like 24 hours for the students, just kind of, and every money that anything that we get donations will go towards breast cancer. I think that's one of the things we're going to do.
Sounds dope.
Sounds fun. I'm interested. I'm in.
Yeah. So again, and doing things like that helps you with referrals as well. You know what I mean? So
it helps, and it's in another business too. Like if you could partner with, like I know Breaker did. They had the brewery that they did. Is that the brewery that they had?
No, they did Johnson City Brewing.
Yeah,
Breaker Blonde.
But they work together,
right?
And they that way they can refer each other, so they're both feeding the businesses together.
You are, and that's what it's about: working together and trying to build
networking. Just the referrals.
Because when you get caught up in thinking about, man, I didn't get tipped. that person leaving you is talking about how great experience that they had, how happy they were to get the service from you, and you're leaving them. They're leaving you, but you're bashing them.
And it can make you. I think it'll make you feel better too. Like make your job. I mean, why wouldn't I have a bad day? Because we love what we do.
Yes.
And if you're so caught up on getting a good tip and you don't get a good tip, why would you want to bum yourself like that and just make it harder on the next person? And then you're going to tell the next kid, like the next person, you cut all that last and then tip me, and then that poison just amplifies and just go through people's lives. Yeah. So
and don't stereotype who's gonna and who's not gonna tip.
And that is something that I will definitely emphasize on, is never expect, tips from anybody. Like, in my industry right now, I have people that come in there and, there's regular work outfits, and they, tip me on a regular basis. And then I have, these guys that just come in, straight off, the street or something like that. And they throw, big tips in the way, and forever grateful for that. I always think, you should tip. And if you have it, definitely, showcase that, show them that, you appreciate their hard work, like $5, 10, even a couple dollars,
yeah.
But back to what I was saying, emphasizing is just don't stereotype at all in any industry like that.
I think anybody that's worked in any industry that you get tips, they've all surprised at some points to where and that you didn't expect something, or you did expect something and didn't get anything. And I think that's when people do get upset, is when you're working hard. You're like, oh, so and so's gonna take care of me, and then that's why your haircut should be where they're at, how they should, or whatever you're charging should be at a price where I think is good for you. Because if you work hard and give a service, you don't have to feel any kind of anything like that. I don't think. I think that's how it should be. I mean, that's just my opinion. If you know you're worth $25, but you're only charging 20 and expect 5, I think that's your fault. I just do.
To be honest, when I was cutting in the shop, I know I'm an instructor now with the school and everything. I never expected a tip. Mm-hmm. My whole time working in the shop, I never expected a tip. If a tip came, I was happy it was a bonus. I was like, yeah, he's tip me. And I never looked at someone and said they're going to tip better than the other. And I know it's hard to believe, but my whole cutting career, since I opened my shop in 2004 to when I went into the instructor field in 2016, 2017, I was just cutting in pure adrenaline, cutting in pure passion.
Yeah.
I loved what I was doing so much. So if you gave me my price, gave me what I charged, I was good.
That's how I am with it. But like I said, I mean, you know what you're charging.
I was good, and back then, and even in 2017, I mean, my haircuts we was charging $20 for a haircut in the bedroom. You know what I mean? And that seems like, man, that's just a regular haircut now.
Yeah.
4 years later, 5 years later. You know what I mean? And I was just happy just to get that. And I had my clientele was really up there, and I was doing really well. And it was just a passion. I loved what I do. So if you love what you do, you're not even looking for that. When it comes, it's just going to make you happier.
Of course.
And I'm still fueled off that. Like I mean, even though that I felt like I have raised my prices throughout my career, I still feel just as much as I'm doing a service to somebody, not for the money, but just to help somebody, maybe listen to them or give them a haircut for a job. Exactly. Like that's how I look at it, more so than I look at it for, hey, I need to bust through this head and get to the next one. And I can't even fathom, maybe if you're in a hard situation that you need the money, but I still can't even fathom doing that. Just get out, next one come in.
And then I think your love for the industry will go fast when you start thinking like that.
For sure.
If it's not something that you love to do, if it's not passionate in your soul, your heart, and your mind, the love for the industry will go quick, because it's a chore now. It's something that you like, you almost don't want to do if someone don't take care of you. But it shouldn't be that, because this is art. We look at it as art. We are artists.
Mm-hmm.
We are creating a mold and creating this beautiful object that's leaving every 25 to 35, some 45 minutes. And you're creating another mold again. And it leaves you to share with the world. That's how I looked at Barber.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it today. It's my masterpiece that everyone is out there going to see. And I'm sharing with the world.
I think that, like you said, if you're first like your last like first message, everything, like the reason that you feel like that is because the moment you stop, you lose that passion and tell yourself that you're just here for the money. That's when it becomes a job, and that's when you're becoming unsatisfied in your job, and it makes life harder. No different than hard for me was getting up at 5 a.m. going to work prison. That started getting hard,
Right.
and I didn't like it, and I had to do something else. And
You
thankfully,
see what I'm saying?
yeah.
And it definitely it becomes a chore at that point, like y'all said. But
Mhm.
like, and back to what Craig said, if you have a passion for it, where you're taking every cut and then you just doing the little extra, to satisfy the customer, and then they go out and showcase that. There's been plenty of times where I've gotten my hair cut at my friend Devon's at Levels Barber Shop. Shout out. And get my hair cut and straight to work. And I'm looking good, crispy, and
Confident.
And when people walk in the door, I'm the first person they see.
Mhm.
And there's multiple times where they're like, hey, the haircut looks really good. Oh, well, I got it at my friend Devon's up
Yeah.
over here, up the road. Go check him out. And then just by doing that, it makes me appreciate what he's done for me.
Right.
Style me up, cut me up. And then on top of that, he's also talking to me on the chair,
Yeah.
making me feel, important,
Mhm.
making me feel not just like a customer, but just as a friend with a personal relationship and bond.
So do you feel that just talking about barber students,
Mhm.
do you think they should focus on tips? How do you feel about that?
What do you mean?
Because I think when you're in barber school, college, it's nice to get a tip, but I don't think that you should even think about that.
The only thing I think that if you're really in like concerned about being the best you can, that you're so overwhelmed at first about all the stuff that you're learning and need to learn that you're not even thinking about money. That you're just trying to focus on what you need to do to get better.
But being in the industry and watching it unfold, we have a lot of students who focus on that first and not think about the craft.
Now, how many of those students do you think are more successful students?
I don't know, but I know it's the percentage is probably low.
But sometimes, it could be a positive reinforcement thing in a way. But if you think about, hey, they start making money and getting doing better, that might inspire them to be better.
I'm not saying don't get tips.
Yeah.
I'm saying don't focus on the tip because you have to build that passion first.
Yeah.
Build that passion first and build that work ethic and hone your craft. I mean, and people are gonna, because you're in school, people are gonna want to tip anyway because you're a student. You want to good at this. They can see that. Excuse me. And they're gonna give you a tip just because.
And every student, I feel like, does the best they can every single time. 100%. Like they put all they can into it, at least until the point that they're so frustrated.
Well, not every student. Most, like a good more than not.
Yeah. Well, the students that I mean, just like anything, if your heart's not in it, eventually it's not going to work. It's
It's
not
gonna
going to work.
show.
It's going to happen.
When the grass is cut,
exactly.
another one of my homies quote: "When the grass is cut, the snakes will show."
Yeah. I mean, it's just how it is. That's natural selection. If you're not in this industry with 100% trying to be the best you can, those people will show. If it don't show now, it'll show later.
Right.
And if it don't show later, it'll show at the end.
And it's a learned skill, and you have to acquire it. You have to go into it and build and grow and hone it, and
it's like a child. You got to nurture it
and nurture it. And during that 1,500 hours, that 10, 11 months, grow. Take your time and build.
Of course.
Do it to the best of your ability. And understand you have plenty to grow.
Yeah.
You have plenty to go.
When you're in the barber college, you are a student. And which, to answer, Craig, your question, to the students who are quickly jumping into the schools and already expecting tips, how much learning have you done to, think about that? How good of a job did you do? Mind you, you're also a student. Yes, some students come in there and they're quick learners, and stuff like that. So there's going to be some more advanced.
Hmm.
But as your time as a student, don't don't work for the tip. Work for the craft, the passion you're about to build.
Yeah.
You know, and just as Craig, for example, his passion. And I've known Craig for a while. He was cutting me up in high school, and we just clicked. And it was just because I went in there one day and I was like, "Hey, you cut one of my homies' hair on the football team." Yeah, that's just networked it, got haircuts, started becoming an irregular, just uh, became friends, and to this day we hang out. But it was just his passion
Hmm.
that is just amazes me, and just in any barber student that he has taught, the passion that they grow. That's the tip that you should expect, is that passion
Yeah.
and just the love for your craft. If I didn't love what I did, I wouldn't work at the brewery. And now I'm there full time. I love what I do. And I look at Craig, he loves what he does.
Hmm.
Anytime we see each other for like 30 seconds, a minute,
Right.
just at the restaurant or at the shop, it's, hey, how's everything going? How's the barbering? How's the students? So passionate about it.
Yeah.
And that's what you should focus on first as a student.
I was reading a book the other day, and it was saying how, and Ryan sent me the quote. It said, "You like you can't compete with me because you all are working. I'm not working. I do this. I enjoy this. This is fun for me.
Hmm.
So there's no way you could ever surpass me because I'm not even working. You have to work to be, but I'm not even working. It's just natural. I
That's
enjoy
dope.
doing it.
And that's why when I tell people from the first day I started in my barbershop, when I opened the shop in 2004, I never had a day where I didn't want to go to work. That's what that quote comes from. You're working. I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny how that happens because it seems like the money part of it just kind of comes,
It
and
comes.
you don't even think about it. It's just like,
It
here you
naturally
go.
flows.
And the barber thing, you really see it because you're just up here trying to be the best you could be, and in doing that, people are like, wow, you're really good. Here's my money,
Yes.
and that's the cool part about it. It's just like,
And
I want to show you through you know my through money how much I really appreciate what you do.
there's not too many industries where you'll become friends with people and they'll come see you every day and they'll pay you.
Bartender.
Yeah.
Different.
Every day. They come to see you every day. People come see you every day.
Or brewery, is it, what was it, brewery assistant?
I'm a brewer's assistant, but I'm also a
Brewmaster.
bartender.
Okay,
Now,
brewmaster.
Ted is my brewmaster, Ted Cantron, and look at him, for example, and I'll put it this way. Ted doesn't work in the front. I'm in control,
Yeah.
and I'm showcasing his craft, and he's there at early crack of dawn. I've been in there like just half dead asleep. He's wired. He's teaching me all these things. He's doing so many things,
Hmm.
and then it's my turn to turn on my switch and then showcase that. I can tell you all about it, down to just beautiful colors and tastings, balancings that, he does. And once you build that passion and stuff like that, everything just flows and people start appreciating that.
and
Yep.
and that's kind of like barbering too, where it's like, like we said, one fade eventually looks like the same fade. I mean, even though I'm sure he does make some good beer, at the end of the day, beer is beer, and they could, it's a lot of craft places. So you putting yourself into it and marketing it, and it as well as the quality of it, is really what builds the whole structure of it.
So, what was the importance of this topic today? What do you guys think?
Don't expect it'll come to you. It'll come to you when it's right. It's right. Appreciates your craft. They're going to tip you. And you're gonna, it's gonna make your day brighter, but don't let it, get you down if you don't get tips from that customer. He might have just told 30 people
Hmm.
about your haircut, and then it's gonna come. But enjoy the enjoy the passion of barbering. Tips is gonna come with that, and that's what I'm thinking.
latch yourself to loving what you do, no matter what it is. Latch yourself to it. And when you first come in and you have that drive and love, wrap your arms around to it and hold it tight and let that carry you through your career. Because if you try to let go and reach for money, then that's where you're going to be stuck. That's
Right.
where you're gonna let go of the passion rocket ship, and you're gonna be stuck on planet money, and that's the only
Exactly.
place you're gonna be. So
And then when you realize time is just going to keep going
yeah,
forward.
you got a whole galaxy of experiences that you could be at, but instead you dropped off at Planet Money and you ain't got no ride off of it.
Exactly.
So one way to do that is to maximize your time while you're in training. If you maximize your time while you're in training in school, in barber school, cosmetology school, nails, whatever, in the cosmetology field, you maximize your time while you're training. Learn all the intricacies. Make that your passion. What you're setting yourself up for is to know your worth, how to get a price point for you to work. So when you make that price point for you, you're not even thinking about the tip because you know your worth. You have maximized your time. You've done everything asked of you in this industry. You've done everything asked of you during time of training during those 1,500 hours, 1,100 hours, 750, or whatever amount of hour it is. You've maximized your time. You've studied hard. You've learned everything about consultation, customer service. You've practiced it. You've honed your skills in it. And you leave, graduate, you have your certificate, your diploma. You know what price point you're going to be at. But if you don't take it serious from day one and don't hone your skills while you're in school, boss that theory out, boss that textbook out, boss your practicals out, do them well and excel.
And the crown.
Earn the crown. Yeah, you're right. Earn the crown. Hashtag earn the crown. Do those things right and do those things well because you'll know your worth. And once you know your worth, you'll set your price for your product. You'll set your price for your service.
And if you continue learning, growing, your price will grow too,
Yes,
or at least your worth.
And
it will.
everybody around you will grow as well.
Yeah.
You keep, and like Craig always did, and this was something I just seen him do. And when we come in and work in the morning, he came in, suit, tie, all looking good, snazzy, ready to take on the day. And any student, he come in, morning, good morning, good morning, be up in the front, transition to the classroom, and just talk. But just hearing Craig talk, seeing him just be so passionate about it, get so excited to see one of his students, perfect that haircut, or he's just looking and, he's going to ask the student, like, hey, double check this, tell me what's wrong. And they fix that error, and Craig has the biggest smile. And that's just the passion and the love for the barber industry that he wants to show everybody that there should be at times, is just loving one another, respecting everybody's work ethic, and just growing everybody, making everybody grow and elevate.
And that includes you on the other end of this broadcast. You listen, right?
Respect the game. Bottom
Exactly.
line.
Respect the game.
Bottom line. And again, Barber College Success brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cuts Academy. Johnson City brought to you by Crown Cuts Academy Bristol and Craig's Crown Cuts Downtown JC. Shout out again to Feed Spot for ranking us in the top 25 of podcasts in the country and the world. You can check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. If you have any questions, send us a question. I mean, we get questions all the time, get plenty of emails. If you have questions about school, any questions, you have something relating to your instructor I can help you with, any questions about just getting better, just hit us up. And what we'll do, maybe we'll get one of our guests to come on our podcast via Zoom. I would like that. If you're a guest out there, wherever you are in this country, in the world, and you want to get on this podcast, I can shoot you in the studio via Zoom, and we'll talk about your experience. Yeah, we'll just bring you on and go from there. To all our listeners, again, if you want to get on our podcast, shoot us an email, contact us to Instagram, Zoom, Facebook, whatever, and let me know. I'll pick one, and maybe here in the next month or so, I'll get you guys on the podcast, and we'll come up with an interesting topic, one of your topics that you pick, and we'll talk about it with you on there. live you can be, because we right now we're broadcasting about what 45, 50 countries around the world. So I would love to get a guest coming from Japan when to talk about barbering, or even Russia, even Germany,
Russia be dope.
or in the Caribbean, or even the United States somewhere in Chicago, in LA, wherever you are, in Washington, in Boston, in Florida, in the Caribbean, anywhere you guys are listening, send me a message and I'll try to get you on the podcast. I'll make that happen. Me and my guests, Mr. MI and TD.
For sure. It's been a pleasure being here, and just seeing, like I said, seeing you grow with the barbering industry and the barbering college, now having one of the best barber podcasts.
Yes,
You're changing. You're changing the world, and that's something that you always wanted to do, one step at a time.
that's it. One step at a time. So I know you was a little nervous. What was you nervous about?
Man, it's been a minute. It's been a minute talking about the industry, but once working with you, you taught me that a lot. I come in nervous, those first jitters, but
That's part of it.
once now you can kind of see me now, more laid back.
But it's normal. Everybody gets in the podcast. They always say they're nervous. And once we start talking, they realize we're just having a conversation in the living
So I
room.
was just talking. I'd have wore the sunglasses though. If I was you. Them things are dope.
Appreciate
I'd have worn
it.
the whole thing.
Yeah, I thought about it. But
The Stone Cold bling bling. Yes,
No.
sir. So what are your lasting words for the listeners out there before we finish and close out?
if you're looking to join the barber industry, 809 North Run Street, Johnson City, Tennessee. Craig's Crown Cuts Academy definitely is the way to go, and it's a good start to and a good base, because you're going to have a really phenomenal instructor in helping you get to you want to go in the industry. So don't be afraid to reach out, via email, via just a quick message.
Yep. Check us out. Also in Bristol, 805 Commonwealth Avenue in Bristol, Virginia. We have 2 locations. Mr. M.I., your closing thoughts?
If you want to go to Planet Money, we can drop you off at Planet Money. But we got a rocket ship to see a whole galaxy.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
Uh, uh, uh,
In the freestyle?
uh.